Ladies and gents, how are you guys all doing? More Minecraft here today. So first of all, I've done a little bit of fixing up around the house here. I don't remember if these were in the last episode, but I added these. Just give it a little bit more texture, I guess. So I know one thing I want to do this episode. I don't think it's going to take very long, but let's go ahead and do that. And I was thinking I might actually go caving this episode, because I haven't done any caving in a while. Let's see, I need this, probably one of these, some of this. If you ever saw my old video, like my first Minecraft video I ever did, of my 1.7 world, I had something like this in there. Okay, so let's put these here. Doesn't the under, like, bottom of my house look really great? One of these is going to need a repeater. If you don't know what I'm building, give it time. Should be good right there. Okay. Aha! This goes back in. And this goes up. Yeah, how nice, huh? Pretty pointless, but then again, is anything I ever build functional? Maybe not. Alright, so there was another thing I did. You may notice there is in fact a new addition to our Toho project pixel art. We have awhile. And I think I might have mentioned this before, but recently I've decided that probably what I'm going to do is just run these like all the way along the track here. I think that might be kind of cool, I guess. I don't know. And I'm probably not going to be building any of these on camera, because I already did an episode devoted to making this one, and me doing the same thing in a bunch of episodes probably not the best idea. So it'll probably get a little bit tedious. So anyways, like I said, I was thinking about going caving this episode. Let's see how I'm doing on stuff. You can see I've got quite a bit of diamond, quite a bit of iron. I would like to get more gold. And as always, I would like to get more diamond. So, keeping that in mind, I think we're going to go caving. Let me check my supplies real quick here. Yeah, should be fine. I actually found a new cave a little bit ago, but I recorded some of the exploration, but it really wasn't that good. So I sort of deleted it. How'd you get here? On the world? I'm pretty sure this is a spider spawner. Yeah, it is. You guys aren't allowed in here. Originally I was going to wire this up with lamps to turn on and off, and then I realized that I don't really use the spawner, so why would I bother? Although messing around with that did let me figure out sort of how to turn spawners on and off with lamps more effectively. Hello. That explains why this cobblestone was here. Okay, so I have been in this cave before, but let's see if there are any areas I haven't gone to yet. I'm sure I'll end up getting lost down here. Got a bunch of torches with me though, so won't be the end of the world. So I had spoken last time about maybe doing a Race to the Ender Dragon type thing with some buddies. We did actually start that. It's sort of interesting because two of the people playing, myself and one other guy, are both pretty experienced with this game. And the other two guys haven't played this game in like, you know, months. Since probably like 1.8, 1.9. So it's sort of like a really awkward balance between the two of us who know a lot of the stuff and two of them who are really out of practice and don't know a lot of the new content. It's not finished yet, and it's not particularly exciting, so what I'm probably going to end up doing is making it into like a montage of sorts. Could be somewhat, hello. Normally I would be ecstatic to find you, but I have a farm of you guys now, so I'm just gonna punch you in the face. Didn't even give me a slime ball. How lame. So what I thought we might do this episode, besides caving obviously, is experiment with the new sort of trend. In that I'm not going to be so much talking about what I'm doing. Oh, I'm mining coal. Oh, look, iron. Wow, I like iron. I'm going to try talking about stuff while I play. And that'll make, hopefully, stuff like caving or building a little bit less monotonous. Man, there's a lot of coal here. So, today's topic is going to be music. That didn't really help, did it? No biggie. Hopefully there's actually something down here. Huh. Okay, yeah, I remember this place. This is inside. What are you doing here? Crazy guys, man. Crazy guys. Here's a place I fell into lava trying to get some diamond. Hence the state of my armor. Anyways, music. So for those of you who don't know, I'm a very big fan of music. Obviously everyone will say that. But I have over 60 days of music on my computer. 120 something gigabytes. Which obviously is not the most anyone has ever had, but I think that's a pretty fair amount. And this is, you know, split out into pretty much all genres. So I figured I like all this music. Maybe some other people will like this music. So I'll just be sort of talking about some of my favorite bands. Oh, I found diamond over here one time too, I remember that. What level am I at? 16, yeah, this is diamond territory. So yeah, you know, I figured it might be an interesting change of pace. Just talk about some bands, some songs, stuff that I like. Maybe people leave in the comments, you know, I checked out this band that you recommended and I like them, or here's a band I really like, you should check them out. That's awesome, because I always love finding out about new music. Again, for those who don't know, not only do I listen to a lot of music, I also play several instruments. I play guitar, bass, a little bit of drums. I'm not that good, but I do play drums. Those are the main ones. I have a little bit of experience with upright bass, like the orchestra bass, although again, I'm not very good at that. Mostly electric guitar and electric bass. What are you doing here? Oops. So one of the things that I like to find in my music is good musicianship, right? Because, well, I play an instrument, so naturally I'm impressed by someone who plays the instrument well. So, okay. Gotta concentrate here. This is dangerous stuff. Alright. So, having so much music, I can't really say I have a favorite band or a favorite song or anything, but if I had to choose, one of the choices I would definitely come up with would be Rush, the Canadian prog rock band. Been making music since the 70s, and honestly, their new stuff is different, but just as good as anything they ever recorded 30 years ago. They just will not slow down. Well, granted, they have slowed down because they were releasing like an album every year back then, but they're still going strong. The guys are all like almost in their 60s. But talk about musicianship. Okay. By the way, did you know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing multiple times and expecting a different result? Like me jumping against that thing and expecting to make the jump. Anyways, some of their stuff, just musically, or musicianship-wise, is just so awesome and incredible that stuff today hasn't managed to catch up to it. There's certain songs that just, man, they kick my butt on bass and guitar when I try to play them. Especially some of the stuff from their really prog rockish era, when they were writing like the 20-minute songs and stuff. And obviously that's not for everybody, but they have a good variety of sounds. Like in the 80s, they started experimenting with some of the new like synthesizer sounds, and so you get this very oppressive, layered kind of sound with synths and stuff. Mushroom spreading here. Hello. And then there's the 70s stuff, late 70s stuff, which is more rockish, little progressive rock. And then the 90s stuff is more of a hard rock type sound. And they're actually making a new album that's coming out this year. I heard a couple of the singles off that, and it's not quite like anything I've ever heard, so it's really cool. And you know, in addition to their musicianship, just the way they compose songs is interesting. You will sometimes have the traditional verse, chorus, verse, but there's always a twist. They are able to weave different time signatures in such a way that a lot of times you don't even realize you're going in and out of different time signatures because it just feels so natural. And that's something that a lot of bands are not able to do. I used to listen to a lot of metal, and I still listen to a lot of metal. So I do like metal a lot. But a lot of metal bands will just sort of weave in and out of time signatures for no reason, and it just sounds really awkward and it's just sort of immature, I guess would be the best way to describe it. These guys, there's always some sort of rhyme or reason. Hello, Lapis. I don't even care about you, but I'm going to gather you anyway. And I'm now realizing that I carry this for situations such as these. Anyways, they've just got... really no band quite compares to them, and I sound sort of like a fanboy, and I sort of am. Obviously there were bands during that era. They were very good, like Yes is another good prog rock band. King Crimson obviously is in a league of their own. And if you don't know what any of these bands are, I would recommend you go check them out. I'm actually gonna, after I finish recording this, or rather when I go to post this, I will post links to samples of all the music I talk about. Because I love to spread the love for music that people might not have heard of. Because if you live in the States, you probably know that if your song is not top 40 Billboard chart material, it's not going to get a lot of exposure. So anything I can do to sort of spread the love. Looks like I've been over there already, because I see cobblestone. I don't need that iron that badly that I would bother to go over there. Hopefully I'll find some diamond. I actually found two different veins of it last time I went caving, but again, I deleted the footage because nothing really happened. This time, at least, I'm talking about stuff. Anyways. Yeah, King Crimson's another great one, but the thing about Rush is that just all in all, they've got just everything. Musically, as far as technical ability on the instruments, as far as songwriting, song structure, and that sort of thing, and also lyrics. I tend to be pretty big on lyrics. I was a literature major in college. I'm not that old, I just recently graduated. But, and in literature, there's a lot of analyzing words. Finding their meaning, finding out what, what certain things imply, and just seeing how much meaning somebody can pack into, a couple lines or a couple words. And so I think for that reason, that's part of the reason that I'm really pretty big into lyrics. And Rush lyrics are always good. Neil Peart, the drummer, actually writes the lyrics. I think that's pretty uncommon for the drummer to write the lyrics, but it works. He's a super smart guy, and you can tell. You can definitely tell just from the way he writes lyrics. He always finds sort of a unique way to say things. Yeah, there we go. So let me try to think of an example here. There's one of their songs off one of their newer albums, actually. Well, it was off one of their '80s albums, so I guess it wouldn't be new. But it's called Dreamline, and the song is about a fairly typical subject, that is, some people growing up and sort of moving out and following dreams and whatnot. But the way that he expresses it is pretty unique. Like, instead of just saying, this guy was driving off into the sunset and his head was full of big dreams, he says, like, he's describing what the guy's taking with him. Oh, here's a new area. So he's got a road map of Jupiter, and he's got a list of cheap hotels along the freeway. And, it's not readily apparent. What does that even mean? Like, what does that matter? Well, the road map of Jupiter is sort of like, when is that ever going to be useful? But he's got it, because he's got his head in the clouds, right? Literally and figuratively, I guess. And so he's aiming high, in his plan, maybe he will not literally get to Jupiter, but, you know, something, it's basically symbolic of his head in the clouds, big dreams type thing. Ah, creeper. There we go. Man, these mobs will find you no matter what, won't they? And then the list of cheap hotels along the freeway, obviously. It's because he doesn't want to stay in one place for too long. He wants to always be on the move. And anyways, it's just stuff like that, you know, it's sort of unique ways of putting things. That's one of my biggest biggest problems with the modern pop music scene is the lack of originality in the music, obviously, but also in the lyrics. Like, you just get the most generic lyrics, like, ooh, baby, baby, heart dreams love, clubs, hips, that sort of thing. And I'm not going to say, you know, all pop music is bad. There's a lot of really good pop music, in fact. Although I think that most of the good pop music was actually from the 80s. But anyways, that's beside the point. You know, there's nothing there that inspires me and makes me go, wow, that's really interesting. But with Rush, you always get something interesting lyrically. For instance, there's a song, maybe my favorite Rush song. It's called Hemispheres. It's a 20-minute long song. What in the world? Oh, I must be getting back to that spawner. Jeez. That just totally disrupted my train of thought. Anyways, it's a 20-minute long song, and it basically chronicles, it's based on Greek mythology, and it chronicles sort of the battle between love and reason, or faith and reason, using two gods as symbols. And then in the end, it takes a human to sort of come in and balance the two. And the human ascends to Olympus and becomes Cygnus, the god of balance. And it sounds really complex, because it kind of is. And maybe it sounds a little bit cheesy. This was in the 70s when when they wrote this, so it's going to be a little bit cheesy by today's standards, I guess. But it's a really complex song, and it's really interesting when you get down to analyzing the themes of it. So when I listen to music, I like to have something like that kind of makes me think. And again, not everything has to be that way. I'd say there's definitely value in just having fun with music, which I think is what most people probably like about music. But anyway, that's Rush, and probably heard of them. Like, they're pretty big. They've been called sort of the world's biggest cult band, because they don't get a lot of mainstream coverage, despite being so big. Anyways, that's one band that I really, really like. And there's another band called, let's see, I'm filled up with bones here, so what I usually do when I get full of bones is I will go use the bone meal on my crops. I'm going to pretty soon have to get separate chests here. I've been actually just avoiding redstone when I find it, because I don't need it. Didn't I have a chest full of torches around here somewhere? There they are. If you remember my sand farm from a while back, I cleared that out recently and picked up all the torches, so now I have, you know, a billion stacks of torches. Anyways, what was I saying? Rush. We finished talking about Rush, I think. Music can be fun. Yeah, something like that. Anyways, another band I really like is a band called Circa Survive. Completely different sound from Rush. They emerged as sort of a band from the indie emo scene, and I'm not talking emo like Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, My Chemical Romance. I'm talking like the original wave of emo, like I Would Set Myself on Fire for You, American Football, that kind of music. But they combine some elements of like shoegaze, which, if you don't know what that is, it's a type of music that has very heavy, it's very effect-driven on the guitars, very layered, and it sort of creates this wall of sound. Let me get this smelting. That's very, it's very layered, like I said. Let's go this way. I know there was another cave over here. And again, next episode we will build something, but I just wanted to talk and to go caving a little bit, since it's good to mix things up a little bit every once in a while, right? Anyways, they mix kind of a shoegaze sound with this old school emo sound. They've also got like a sort of an indie thing going on. Very unique sound. Like I said, the guitar work is very layered a lot of the time, so that you kind of get this whole picture kind of sound rather than hearing, each individual instrument. So just hearing like one guitar, it might not sound like much, but then when you combine that with the bass and the drums and the other guitar and the vocals and occasionally keyboards, they don't use keyboards that often, it creates a really, really unique kind of sound. And the lead singer, Anthony Green, he's sort of he's one of the guys in that genre, that culture. He does a lot of work with other people because he is pretty well known. Has a very unique voice. It's not for everybody, that's for sure. I know a lot of people react negatively towards his voice, and I understand why. A very high-pitched voice, almost like Robert Plant-esque. Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin, obviously. Another great band, but that goes without saying. And I could have sworn I turned the spawner off. Maybe not. Anyways, they've got sort of this, I've never heard anything like this kind of sound going on as well, and that's another thing I really like. If it's like nothing I've ever heard before, chances are I'm going to like it, because I listen to a lot of music that a lot of people find unlistenable. Alright, we'll go down after it. But, yeah, very unique sound. You kind of have to hear it for yourself. But if you're imagining sort of shoegaze sound like My Bloody Valentine, combined with... Wah! Gosh, dang it. Tell you, man. Creepers are maybe the scariest thing in this game, but skeletons make me jump more than any other mob. They just come out of freaking nowhere. Looks like I left a lot of iron down here. That's good. If I can get an entire chest full of iron blocks, I'll feel awesome. Anyways, Circa Survive. Very cool sound. I'll post a link to them in the description. You can check them out. Again, not for everybody. But if you react negatively to his voice at first, I challenge you to sort of listen to it and think of his voice as another instrument. Sort of, again, weaving in with the other sounds that the band members create. And it's something really, really pretty special, pretty interesting. So there's them, Circa Survive. Zombies are around here somewhere. Another band I'm huge on is Primus. You may have heard of them. They had a song in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1. Jerry was a race car driver. I'll I'll post a link to that song, I think, and if you guys have ever played that game, you'll probably recognize the song immediately. We talk about bass playing. Les Claypool, the bassist and singer, is one of the best bassists of all time, period. Then again, so is Geddy Lee of Rush, but Les Claypool has a really, really interesting mix of the slap bass technique that you find in a lot of funk music, along with super fast finger style, just like that kind of stuff, you know, that you'd normally hear on a guitar. Nope, he does it on a bass. That, and then he has this other really weird technique. It's strumming. So like normally you do chords on a guitar and you just hit individual notes on a bass. Well, he does a lot of chords on the bass, and it's a very unique sound. And it's very percussive and very harsh. So it's really not like the smooth bass that you hear a lot of. It's very like gung 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 gung, like, you know, if that makes sense. Very gung 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 gung. And their music's really out there. Again, not for everybody. A lot of people that I've shown it to are just like, okay, this is weird. And it is, but it's also awesome. And again, just for if you play an instrument, specifically bass, the guitarist and the drummer are really good as well. The guitarist is Larry Lalonde, and they've gone through 3 different drummers, but all of them have been good. I actually saw Primus last year in concert, and it was the there must have been a mob spawner here that I broke, like back in episode 2 or something. I wonder what was there. It's probably like zombies or skeletons. It's probably zombies, because I don't think I would have broken a skeleton spawner. Anyways, and that was the best show I've been to. And I've been to some pretty decent shows. Whoa! How? No, that doesn't happen. Okay, that was bizarre. I guess technically it is within the block limit. Never seen him like spawn through a wall like that though. Guess there's no reason why it shouldn't be possible. Is there anything through here? Probably. I don't really need any more fences, but whatever. Anyways, Primus, very, very out there. Very, very weird, and I mean really weird. But they're great. And again, like like nothing you've ever heard of, that's for sure. So there's that. What other bands do I like? I'm actually very into David Bowie, believe it or not. And you may be chuckling to yourself, David Bowie, that glam rock guy. Well, yeah, he was sort of part of the inventing the glam rock thing, but if you listen to his music, it's actually very, very good. He, very, very talented songwriter. And a lot of the stuff that doesn't get put on the radio or his greatest hits is actually very, very different, very interesting. And it was another interesting thing is the whole Ziggy Stardust era where, you know, he was dressing up all crazy and stuff. That was a character that he created. And he was sort of weaving this story. It's just sort of interesting to see. Ah! Can I just talk? Is that too much to ask? And if you listen, really listen to his music in the way that it is written and composed, you'll find it's like he just thinks a little bit differently from other people, especially considering that I don't want that iron that badly. You know, considering the other stuff that was out at the time that he was writing music. Granted, his last album was in '07, I think, so there's still a possibility that he will make a new album. I think he toured last year. Was it in 2010 or 2011 was his last tour, I believe. But again, it's just the way that he wrote, I guess, or writes, assuming he might still be writing music. It's just like he thinks a little bit differently than everybody else. Makes this really unique kind of sound. Anyways, also he's in the movie Labyrinth, and that movie I tend to enjoy. And as everybody knows, Devaboy wa B-double-O, right? Okay. I'm going to stop ripping off other people's material and move on. Who else? There's another guy that I'm really into. And again, disclaimer on a lot of these, not for everybody. Like I said, I tend to listen to some bizarre stuff, but you may have heard of Tom Waits. Sort of a singer-songwriter, folk rock. Not really folk rock, that's not really the best way to describe him. But basically he started out playing piano and singing songs, and he moved on to create the only way I can describe it is like this backwater, like, it's not country, but it's like out in the middle of nowhere, like sitting on your porch kind of music, I guess. But he's got some jamming, like jam stuff, and some really soft songs, but the really unique thing about him is his voice. To quote a David Bowie song that's actually referring to Bob Dylan, but it's applicable in this case as well. His voice is like sand and glue. Like, that's the only way I can describe it. You'll just have to hear it for yourself, but you probably will not hear a voice like this one. Okay, we're good. Probably won't hear another voice like this one. And again, he's just another one of those guys that seems to write things a little bit differently. Oh, here's a ravine I haven't even been to. A little bit high up for Diamond right now. But if we move down here, perhaps we will find some. There's probably a better way down. Anyways, Tom Waits is considered one of the finest songwriters of the last century, honestly. Very, very big, I guess I have been here before. Again, I'll say sort of a cult following because he's huge, but... Leave me alone. Pretend like I'm Britney and leave me alone. Welcome to 1990, whenever that was. That joke was funny 10 years ago or so. Anyways. Nope. Yes. Tom Waits? Yeah, is that what I was saying? Yeah, he's huge, and like he's considered, like I said, one of the finest songwriters of, I won't say this, not this generation, but many generations ago. I think he started making music in like the 50s, maybe even the 40s. Maybe. Like late 40s. If so. He just had a new album come out this year, and it was good. But, he doesn't get a lot of mainstream coverage, though. Again, because he's not singing "Ooh Baby Baby Heart Dreams Club," "Hips," "Love." End rant. But I would recommend, if you're into sort of offbeat kind of singer-songwriter with, you know, he doesn't just play with an acoustic guitar. In fact, a lot of his songs don't have guitar in them. You get really odd percussion instruments and like an upright bass and that sort of thing. Dang it, where'd that other ravine go? So at least check him out, and then you'll feel, oh, look at that. You'll feel all cultured when you refer to Tom Waits. And people are like, ah, yes, Tom Waits. And you're like, oh, yes, Tom Waits. Because that's the most important thing about music, right, is getting hipster cred. I'm joking, of course. There's some gold. Anyways, that's another one. Let's see. Who else? You know, they're the basic ones. The old school metal bands, Iron Maiden, older Metallica, I don't really care for their new stuff. And then the old rock bands, Led Zeppelin, obviously. I really, really like the Police. And then there are a lot of metal bands that I like as well. I tend to like the more progressive metal bands. My favorite band for the longest time was a band called Between the Buried and Me. And they started out as sort of a metalcore band with some progressive elements, so you had like chugga chugga music, but, you know, actually unique. And recently they've been moving towards more of a progressive rock kind of sound, you know, really complicated rhythms and they've always had really, really complicated guitar work. The lead guitarist, Paul Wagner, does this technique called sweep picking, which is probably going to be really difficult to explain if you don't actually play guitar. But if you do play guitar, you might know what sweep picking is and know that it's a pretty difficult technique. Basically, it involves sort of gliding along the strings and picking in one motion, rather than, like, if you're picking 3 notes, instead of picking 3 times, you will actually pick once and sort of use economy of motion and stuff to get this really smooth, fast sort of sound, I guess. Again, it's kind of hard to describe if you don't play guitar, but basically it's really, really fast and really, really smooth. And a lot of metal bands do this, especially nowadays. But the difference in his playing style in a lot of bands is that he does it very tastefully. In their music, there's never, you know, just a crazy solo, just to have a crazy solo. It always fits in with the song, and it's never just shredding, shredding, shredding. There's always melody, and there's always some sort of, hello. Oh, glad I came down here. Basically, there's always melody, and there's always some sort of rhyme or reason to it. And that's one thing I always appreciate about their music and his guitar playing specifically. The singer, Tommy Rogers, is a pretty talented guy as well. He goes back and forth between the metal sort of screams and growls and pretty good clean singing, actually. His clean singing voice is sort of like a Pink Floyd-esque sound. And their music is sort of like that as well. So if you can imagine going back and forth between super heavy chugga chugga shredding with screaming and growls, and then the next minute you've got jazz guitar and you know, clean vocals, a la Pink Floyd and similar stuff. That's sort of their sound. And they sort of nailed that down before it became sort of popular. Like a lot of bands do that now. You know, they'll have really heavy stuff, and then later on it'll get all soft and pretty. But these guys, again, do it tastefully. Hello, Diamond. They do it tastefully, and they do it... I bet there's only going to be one because of this cave generated here. Oh, we got 2. Can we go for 3? That's unfortunate. Might as well take this while I'm here. Oh, 3. 4. Excellent. Okay, I do not need this. Can we go for 5? I suppose asking for 5 was a little bit greedy, wasn't it? Okay, let's get out the fortune pick, shall we? So we've got 4 diamond here. Let me get rid of this gravel. I'm full on string, actually. I'm also full on bones. I just need to get new chests for this stuff. Keep these because I eat them. Whatever. Okay, so before I keep talking, 4 diamond ore. Let's see how many diamonds I get from this. 4 diamond ore, 9 diamond. That ain't bad. That ain't bad at all. Okay, so that's Between the Buried and Me. They're still making music at a very fast pace, in fact. New album pretty much every year. So if you're into the heavy stuff and the progressive stuff, give them a listen. Out of here. Who else is there to talk about? I also listen to a lot of Japanese music, actually. And no, I'm not talking J-pop. I'm talking Japanese indie music, mostly. You might not think it, but hello, Gold. Nice to meet you. Oh, there's a lot of it here. Cool. What was I saying? Yes, you might not think it, but the Japanese indie scene is actually spectacular. A lot of bands coming out of that with very unique sounds, and again, sort of building their... Come on, it's not that hard. There we go. Sort of building their fan base from the ground up. Oh, happy day. I think we're only going to get one this time. Oop. That's alright. It's fine. It's cool. It's cool. Alright, here goes. 1 diamond ore. 1 diamond. Well, they can't all be winners, can they? Still gets me 10 diamond from this trip, doesn't it? And that ain't bad. Anyways. Some of those bands that I like. There is a band called Mass of the Fermenting Dregs. Very bizarre name. I suspect has something to do with them not speaking English and picking random English words, just as T-shirts in the States do, where they have like Japanese or Chinese words on them that say things probably like dog, cat, food, bed. I don't know, because everybody knows that Asian writing looks cool on shirts, right? Anyways, they have a very interesting sound that's somewhat of a sort of like an alternative rock, indie, shoegaze, post-rock, like all these genres kind of meld into one. And they have a female vocalist, but the way that the albums are mixed, there's sort of like an echo on the vocals, which is very shoegaze-y, shoegaze-ish, but it sounds very, very cool. And again, all around they just have a really cool sound. Let's grab this iron before I head back. Let's see, there's another band. They're called Tsushi Mamire. And they're an all-female rock group with very, a lot of their stuff's very dissonant. Like, it's not like, how do I describe it? You might just have to listen to it for yourself, but like minor chords and weird notes and stuff. What very cool sound. For those of you who don't know, I have a music channel as well. I would recommend not going on there though, because it hasn't been updated in a while, and as I've said in a previous video, my musical taste and my my musical taste has changed, and my technical proficiency at my instruments has gotten much better, so what's on there is sort of the old stuff that I'm sort of embarrassed of now. But at any rate, I did a bass cover of one of their songs. Why did that not stack? And the actual artist came on and commented on it, and that was kind of cool. But it's really funny because musically, they're all very talented musicians. But they're singing about things like air conditioners and cake and junk like that. It's pretty funny. But yeah, give them a listen. There's also a genre of music that I've started listening to recently that I used to not be able to get into, but I do enjoy quite a bit now. It's called post-rock, and I think I just mentioned it. Basically, it's very, it's kind of hard to describe, but it's usually instrumental. A lot of times pretty long songs, they're sort of ambient in a way, like, not, like I'll say background music, but not necessarily in a bad way. Like, they're just sort of like peaceful and airy, like light sounding. You know, not a lot of chords necessarily, but more like individual notes. A lot of times there's like an echo and stuff, and it just sounds very, for me at least, it conjures up images of like floating or the sky. I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird, but there are a couple Japanese post-rock bands that are really good. One of them is Hyake. Oh, hello. This has been a very profitable trip, hasn't it? Very cool. See if I get anything interesting in the chest there. They've got some really, really cool stuff. Really good drums on that, and their stuff. And there's another one called, well, there's one called Yui. That is a really good, Are they called Yui? Hold on, let me check real quick. It'll be, one moment. I think I have them on my iPod here. Yes, I have an iPod. Sorry, I'm supporting the enemy, whatever. Not an Apple fanboy, I just happen to own an iPod. Oh no, I think the band is called Childs. Yeah. The band is called Childs, the album that I have is called Yui. And again, similar sound. Oh, we gotta take the saddle. Don't care, don't care, don't care. Trying to stock up on cocoa beans, kinda, in case we eventually are able to actually plant them. Get on it, Jeb. But, anyways, they've got a very cool, it's a very post-rock sound, and if you listen to post-rock for a while, you'll figure out what that sound is. It's kind of hard to describe. And again, I'm not necessarily the best at describing what music sounds like, I just know sort of the things that I like and what sounds unique. But anyway, that's another good one. What else? Let's see. Trying to think if I missed any bands that I really like that some people may not have heard of. I mean, I guess those are some of the main ones that I listen to the most. Like I said, I have over 60 days of music on my, oh yeah, I left out an entire genre. There we go. Punk music. Yes, I'm a huge fan of punk music. And I'm not talking pop punk. I'm not talking Green Day. I'm not talking, I don't know what else. What other pop punk bands are there? I don't know. I'm not talking Green Day. I'm not talking Offspring. I like the Offspring. And Green Day tends to be okay sometimes, but they're not really punk. Their Offspring's more rock, but Green Day is pop punk. I'm talking 80s hardcore. My favorite probably being Dead Kennedys. Dead Kennedys are just bloody spectacular. It's funny because I say bloody and I'm not English. Oh man, we got more stuff over here. I'm going back, guys. This episode's getting long and I don't want to get too horribly lost in here. But their music, very, very politically charged. And of course they were writing in the 80s, so it's a lot of Cold War stuff. But the lead singer, Jello Biafra, who has a solo career now, making music that was just as good as anything he recorded in the 80s. And there's actually this whole thing about he had a falling out with his bandmates because they wanted to go commercial, and he thought that was sort of against everything they stood for, being against corporate America and stuff like that, but that's a discussion that I won't get into. I hear spiders. Oh gosh, I'm lost. Anyways, their music, great. They've got it's like a sort of a mixture of hardcore punk and surf punk in a way. You know, with very, very biting political lyrics. And it's almost like, especially with his solo stuff, which he's writing today, so it's a lot of current events type stuff. Because he always wants to stay controversial. He doesn't ever want to be one of those bands that, you know, ooh, we're going to sing about the Cold War, and, oh gosh. We're good, we're good. We're going to sing about the Cold War and stuff that happened 20 years ago and pretend that it's being edgy. No, he's singing about terrorism and freedom of speech and junk like that. And it's sort of like, even if you don't agree with everything he has to say, because he's kind of radical, you almost have to just respect him for saying it, for being willing to say it, and just being so unapologetic about it. So I respect that. And again, he just makes awesome music, so... as far as other punk bands, TSOL, band I'm very, very into. And they're sort of a lesser-known punk act. They started as very politically fueled as well, and then sort of moved into like a horror punk kind of sound, which is like punk music that lyrically deals with like, oh man, this is awesome. Problem is I don't know where the heck I am. Anyway, punk music that deals with like horror movie topics, basically. Oh, I have to go in here, guys. Come on. But really good stuff from them. They were they're SoCal punk, and they were pretty big in that scene back in the day. And the guitarist makes a really good use of you know, tone and stuff. His guitar tone is very unique, very cool sounding. So just for the guitar sound, I would recommend checking them out. But I also like the music a lot. Other punk acts that I really like, let's see. Agent Orange, good one. They're very, very surf punk. They never really identified with the punk movement that much, but the Orphans, they're a more recent band. Not a lot of people have heard of. They're really, really great punk, moving sort of into a folk punk sound, which is like punk music but with acoustic guitars. It's really weird but really cool. Social Distortion, obviously, they get a fair amount of radio play. But bands like that, it's one of my favorite genres of music. Trying to think what else, if I left any bands that I really, really like out. I think that's most of my favorite ones. Well, let me check the time real quick, and then I'll be back. So we're at almost exactly an hour. This episode did go a little bit long. My apologies if you were bored. Granted, if you were bored, you probably have turned off the video by now. But like I said, it's good to do a different kind of episode every once in a while, like a caving episode. And I thought it might be interesting to just try talking about try talking about stuff, you know? Rather than just sort of commentating what I'm doing. And most of the people I enjoy watching the most do that. So, figured it might be a nice change of pace. Anyways, if you would let me know, if you're still watching, still with me here, let me know in the comments what you thought of this style of commentary. Oh, we can get out right there. That's the way to the surface. Sweet. Hold that thought. And I've actually gained quite a few levels as well. Anyways, if you would let me know in the comments whether you liked this style of commentary, or if you would prefer that I just sort of, you know, talk about what I'm doing, or not talk, I guess. I would appreciate it. I tend to think that, well, I tend to think that I'm going to drown. It's not good. Come on. Come on. No, we're going to make it. So where are we? I see pixel art. So we need to go this way. Anyways, I tended to think this was kind of a nice change of pace and somewhat interesting. Maybe you think otherwise. What I would really like to see is some people letting me know if they checked out any of these bands and liked them, or letting me know if any bands that they like that I can then check out, because like I said, I'm always looking for new music and always trying to spread the love for new music. So I don't think you guys need to watch me swim back to my house, so I'm going to go ahead and call it here. Again, hopefully you enjoy this one, and next episode we're going to build something, so look forward to that. Anyways, till next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see ya.